Hello and welcome to Cloud Speed by Deloitte. In this regular podcast series, we'll delve into the world of cloud, answering some of those tricky questions, getting to grips with all that cloud has to offer, and keeping you up to speed on recent developments. So let's begin, shall we? Here is your host, Arti Balakrishnan.
Hello and welcome to our next episode of Cloud Speed by Deloitte. I'm Arti Balakrishnan, a director in our cloud engineering practice, and I'll be your host for this episode. In today's episode, we will look at one of our industry solutions, Converge Prosperity. This is our innovative financial services industry offering, pre-canned with a whole series of cloud-native technologies that allows our clients to imagine, design, assemble, and deliver the first production release of their next generation digital bank at pace. To share their insights and educate us on this topic, I'm joined by Chris Madeline and Mike Robinson. Welcome both. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi Arti, it's Chris Madeline here. Thank you very much for having us on the podcast today. So I am a financial services director in Deloitte Digital. My work passion is all around building and launching new digital propositions and also new digital organizations. I am the co-founder, along with Mike, of the Alpha platform, which is shortly going to be launched globally under a new Converge Prosperity banner. And outside of work, I'm currently learning how to play golf, albeit very poorly, and counting down the days to my second child arriving. So if I suddenly drop the mic and run out of the room, Mike's going to have to pick up the rest of this on his own.
Thanks, Chris. Wouldn't be the first time, though. Mike Robinson, partner in Deloitte Digital. I head up financial services, digital banking, and I help digital banks or non-digital banks to launch new digital propositions, but more often than not, to help them do that while transforming, while moving to new ways of working and new technology platforms. Outside of work, I have 2 young kids and a equally young dog. So I suppose my number one kind of hobby is trying to get some sleep. But besides that, big fan of cycling, in particular mountain biking as well. So you get me out on the mountains and forest most weekends.
Delighted to have you both in the episode. And after nearly 20 episodes, an episode full of cycling enthusiasts, and I'm delighted for that as well. Let's get right to it. When talking about industry solutions with the lines blurring between various industries, example, technology companies becoming fintechs, and having a number of common challenges between industries, how do you see the role of our industry-specific solutions?
Well, I suppose I'll start a bit on the lines blurring point that you made. So like our view is, and it's taken us a surprisingly long time to come to this, but I realized it, but because we used to talk a lot about, the digital revolution, and we even used to talk about a post-digital age, but what we've kind of discovered is that we're not in a post-digital age. We're in the middle of a transition to a new digital age, and there's a lot more road to run on that. We've had phone, smartphone, internet, social, but there's certainly more to go, all the way through voice, and maybe if you look further on the road, neural, but we've got blockchain, distributed ledger. There's a lot more digitization of aspects of our lives that are happening, and all businesses face that challenge, and it's pretty similar to any other disruptive waves we've had in the past, going way back to the Stone Age and the Iron Age. But the same can be said for modern farming, or the printing press, or the internal combustion engine. We've seen these new technologies and capabilities come about that have fundamentally changed our ability to provide the products and services that we provide to our customers. And that's just the beginning of the disruption. It's also changed or allowed us to do entirely new things that just weren't possible before. Like Netflix as a concept wasn't possible before we had cloud computing and the internet as a distribution channel. But that wave of disruption is facing every industry, and every industry faces the challenge of building those new capabilities and using them to serve their customers better. But nowhere is it more apparent than in financial services right now. We see the shift from branch-based banking to telephony banking to internet banking to smart phone banking. But even more than that, now we're starting to see new products and services coming out. So I think that's the commonality, right? Everyone's facing the same struggle to build those new capabilities in their business. And again, it's a pattern we've seen in the past when we see the power shifts happen as businesses born in an old age struggle to transition to the new age. And that's what we see financial institutes struggling with right now. The second thing that's kind of happening, though, that's running alongside of that, or that's enabling, is sort of the dawn of the ecosystem or the marketplace or the partnership or plays or the as a service plays. They all kind of relate to starting to see convergence of different products and services to better serve the needs of customers. And that's really interesting, right? Like, it's really interesting to see technology companies like Amazon or Uber starting to offer loans to the participants in their ecosystem. So in the case of Uber, it's drivers. In the case of Amazon, it's small businesses that are selling on their platform, or Google moving in and Apple moving into payments, right? But we're starting to see that convergence as people start to work out ways to bring these digital services together in order to better serve the end-to-end needs of the customers at the point at which they need served, or they want those experiences. So having credit available at the point of purchase is another example. So we're starting to see that, to your question, we're starting to see that kind of consistent disruption, but we're also starting to see that kind of convergence of different industries coming together to better serve end-to-end needs of customers. And we take that kind of approach when it comes to industry solutions, or indeed just solutions in general. Like, what we're all about, Chris and I hopefully won't disagree with me, like, we're all about helping businesses through that transition, helping them from being working and having technology and having products and services that are, well, to be blunt, from the old age, and helping them move into that new world, build those new capabilities, build those new products and services with those capabilities, and to be relevant to the shifting needs of customers. That's what we do. And we built a platform in Alpha that does just that.
Couldn't agree more, Mike, in terms of how the technology disruption can be used to build and launch new capabilities to better serve customers. Chris, could you talk us through some of your more recent experiences delivering that?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything Mike said, thankfully, but I can maybe bring it to life with a bit of an example recently. So we were working with a banking client and helping them launch their new digital bank. But alongside that traditional banking functionality, they also wanted to offer a sort of integrated family proposition, which had the ability for kids to manage their chores, but also a marketplace, which offered, I guess, everything from ordering takeaway pizzas to booking taxis to buying headphones and everything in between. And I think whether the kind of listeners agree that that's a sensible strategy and proposition for a bank is probably not the point, right? The point is that these new platforms that digital banks are deploying are giving them this capability to offer this rapid diversification of what products they offer, both inside and outside of financial services. If you look at that sort of disruption, it's a wave that was spearheaded by the fintechs, but the major players and the new digital banks are really catching on. And what we're kind of realizing is that these fintechs aren't successful because they run on modern cloud platforms. They're successful because they use those platforms to deliver these extraordinary experiences and services. And I think it's that sort of lesson what we've packaged up into how we help our clients do that with Converge Prosperity.
Thanks, Chris. Let's get into the details now. So what is Converge Prosperity? What is it really made of?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess what actually is it is always the question we get to eventually after an intro like that. But maybe if I start with the sort of foundations, and I'll let Mike sort of do the details on top, because really at its core, Converge Prosperity is the sort of capability to accelerate our clients through those transformations that we're talking about, and also give the businesses that capability they need in order to respond to the different waves of digital disruption that are hitting them. Fundamentally, what that means is we need to deliver and have a banking fabric right? A digital spine that consists of a pre-integrated set of cloud-native technology components that can run on the sort of major cloud technology providers, but cover the core technology platform capabilities you need, like integration, security, operability, scalability, engineering, etc., and then allowing that platform to orchestrate the flow of data and events through your organization. But that's really sort of the technology foundation and what you need to build on top of. It's what you can do with that technology and the other accelerators that we put into Converge Prosperity that really brings that to life for our clients.
Chris talked a bit there, used the word capability a couple of times. And it's a word that we use on purpose over just saying technology. Because for us, it's not just about deploying the code and the assets that somebody else has provided you, but it's about how do you build capabilities inside of the organization. And capabilities are a mixture of a mixture of technology, people, and processes. So Chris used the word capabilities a couple of times there when he was talking, and we use that word on purpose, rather than just saying technology. For us, this is about how do we help organizations to build new capabilities, new digital capabilities inside the organization. And for that, that's a mix of technology, but also people and process. So a big bit of what we do with Converge Prosperity is how do we actually have the new technology capabilities, but how do we organize the teams around them? How do we enable teams and individuals to use them? How do we enable teams to build new propositions, build new services, and deploy those safely, quickly, and securely onto those new platforms? But also, how do we build those capabilities inside of the functions of the bank as well? So how do we also modernize how things like finance and treasury or risk and regulation work inside of the organization as well? So we look to more than just the base technology. We look at how do we actually enable the people inside of that organization to transform to new ways of working as well. And then the other area we look at in Converge Prosperity is how you make use of those capabilities to do something, to deliver your existing products and services better. And that can mean better experiences, it could mean more efficiently, but also how do you build new products and services that maybe weren't possible before, couldn't have been done without the power of digital. So what's the approach by which you come up with an idea, where you refine that idea, where you prove that idea with customers and validate it before you go about building it? And even when you build it, how do you build it quickly and get it out into production with a small group of users, so an alpha release, get out in the hands of customers quickly, test it with real world users, make sure it's desirable before you push forward into a beta release where you start to test that the proposition scales, the platform, the technology scales, that the operational processes scale, but also that the marketing of it scales as well. So by the time you get to doing your full public launch, you know it's desirable, you know the technology is going to stand up, you know the operational processes are going to stand up, and you know how to get the message out there, how to market it as well. So say it's more than just the technology. It's how do you build capabilities involving real people, and then how do you use those capabilities to do something to realize value for the financial institute and for their customers.
So that's incredibly interesting. When you're taking such a holistic approach, how are you managing the product lifecycle of such solutions? Because organizations like Deloitte, while we can help jumpstart the journey, we're not there for the overall product cycle end to end. So how are we equipping and enabling clients through that?
Well, we when we started the journey, we were focused on how do we help clients to transform and how do we help them do it faster and better, and we still are. That still is a big part of our, and possibly the biggest part of our mission. But we were looking for what are the things that are the repeatable solved problems, and we could bring them to have those assets ready to roll with our clients, so that we didn't have to focus on that stuff. We could focus on the truly differential stuff. We were heavily focused on finding those repeatable things and designing those assets in a way that we could deploy them for our clients. And we're still very much, the bulk of our work is on that basis, that we deploy these platforms, these tools, these ways of working for our client. We work with them to actually enable them inside of their business. Now, as part of that, we completely believe in a mixed model. Like we believe, certainly for the larger banks, or where something is critical to your business, that you should own the data and events. But of that thing, but you're also going to need to work with partners. You're going to need to integrate different partners into that, and you're going to need to work with those partners. So we designed a platform that we deployed for our clients into that, and then we give them the capabilities to take that platform forward. But we also designed it in a way that allows you to plug other partners and modules into it. So it's a constant kind of like, while it gets a bit confusing, is that the kind of balancing act is like, what are the bits that you own versus what are the bits that you buy from an external partner? And the answer in that varies depending on what type of financial institute you're talking to, or what type of product and service they're trying to launch. But the process we go through with clients is upfront, is having that conversation about what's your business purpose, what's the product or vision you're going after, what's the technology vision you're going after around that, and what's the organizational vision you're going after around that. And through that conversation, we'll work with them to discuss, well, what's the right solution for you, what's the right approach for you, and then it's about executing on it. So there's no kind of 100% answer to what makes sense. It depends on what you're doing. But yeah, we go through a process that explores that with the client based on what they want to do, and then we start deploying that platform. We start deploying that capability with them.
That's really helpful. Talking through that journey has brought to life the common set of capabilities, how you need to integrate with partners and make the end-to-end solution really work. But in the case of these common platforms, how do you stand out from the competition? And where is the real differentiation?
Yeah, I think before you sort of answer that question, you have to first acknowledge why these sort of common platforms exist in the first place, right? Because if you look at organizations launching new propositions, like, we all recognize that's hard. We also recognize that if you want to transform your legacy and heritage systems, right, that's hard. If you're doing that and you're also trying to overcome quite a traditional organization's inertia to change and new ways of working and new organizational structures, right, that's also hard. And what we're really talking about here is beyond the technology. It's trying to do all of those things all at the same time. And that's where it becomes a really tough task to actually make some changes that stick, right? But that's sort of exactly the type of transformations we're supporting our clients in undertaking. And it's what a lot of the digital transformations we're seeing in the market are attempting to do. And I think if you take a step back and look at these transformations, they tend to all look a little bit like an iceberg. When you start these sort of engagements, what you're really seeing is the tip of the iceberg. Everyone's super excited around what's the customer proposition we're going to launch, what's the brand going to be, what's the kind of advertising going to be. Back in the day that we were all in the office, it was about Post-it notes, T-shirts, trainers, and the sort of free beer taps in the WeWork offices you were renting. And that's really what got these projects excited and got them off the ground. But what you tend to find then is, whether it's 3, 6, 9, or, God forbid, even 18 months later, when I'm sitting in those steering committees of these big transformations, it tends to be not those things that you're talking about. What we're actually start talking about is all of the sort of 80% of effort that's hiding below the waterline in that iceberg. Because what we're really talking about is, how are we going to integrate all these systems together, both with modern SaaS providers, with legacy heritage systems, with maybe systems that already exist in the estate that you want to use. We're talking about, how are we going to get our cyber teams to sign off on the security considerations of using cloud and using new SaaS solutions? How are we going to get our very traditional IT organization to have the ability to operate this kind of infrastructure and systems? How are we going to scale? How are we going to make sure that we've got, we can unleash the sort of power of the new technology and cloud platforms we've got to do sort of releases multi-day, when our traditional legacy core banking system only lets us do that every 3 to 6 months, right? Those are the actual challenges that you face when you're when you're deploying things and when you're trying to do this level of transformation. But what we sort of recognized, right, is those problems are hard, right? I'm never going to trivialize any of those issues, right? Because I've sort of made a career out of helping solve them, and our clients have solved them, we've solved them. But we actually kept doing the same thing again and again, right? We kept coming into our clients, facing into these challenges and solving them. And by realizing that a number of these things have been solved before, that's really where common platforms come in place, right? So what Mike sort of alluded to this in answering the sort of last point, we've really focused on making sure that we have focused on what are the repeatable areas that you just want to take away, the building blocks of any foundational infrastructure or any foundational proposition, and then building them in such a way that they are encapsulated enough that you can assemble them in ways that is unique to your business. So really, actually, if you ask what we're standing out from the competition on, it is really that recognition that you need to make sure that the repeatable areas are absolutely encapsulated, built, and we then give the organizations the ability to put that like tip of the iceberg together. What do they want to differentiate themselves on? What new customer journeys do they want? What new business models and propositions do they want to unlock? But we're allowing our customers, our clients, and the people we partner with to get there much, much quicker than was possible before.
Thanks, Chris. So common platforms for common problems. That's what I'm taking away from all of this. One of the other common problems we're going to continue to have is integrating with hybrid solutions, because not everyone is ready to move to the cloud or are there at a point of maturity where they're able to move to the cloud. So the status quo for the foreseeable future is going to be hybrid solutions. So how are we tackling that within our proposition?
So actually, this builds really nicely on from what Chris was saying about, and even builds on that last question about what's different about us and what's different about our offering and how we do it. I guess one of the other kind of main points is that we care about the transformation. Like that's what makes us tick. We're not a product business. We're not a pure product business, right? We are about helping you successfully move through this transformation, this need for transformation, to build those capabilities, to build those new products and services, and to be relevant to your new customers. That's what we care about. And that's what we've designed a platform to do, to handle the fact that transformation is going to take years, right? It's not, you cannot expect a large financial institute to wholesale shift to a new digital platform and new ways of working overnight. You can't even expect them to spend a year or 2 years preparing for it and then flick the switch overnight. That journey has to be incremental. It has to go one step at a time. So we design our platform to do that, to be modular, and that modular architecture is actually possibly one of the things we're most proud of, right? Building that fabric, that base platform, the spine that gives you the foundational capabilities, right? Getting that in place and establishing it, and then to incrementally over time elevate up to a degree their existing capabilities of the organization and modernize them up onto that new spine is how we work. I was going to say the secret sauce, but I don't think it's the secret sauce. It's the complexity, is both the order in which you do that and then doing it, right? Now, in terms of the order in which you do it, I can't predict exactly how the future is going to play out, and I certainly can't predict exactly how the future is going to play out for any individual bank. There's lots of possible outcomes we see in the world of financial services, from more fluid-based products to convergence and ecosystems, et cetera, right? But what we can say is, and it comes back to the point made at the very start, what we can say is it's the same. It's those underlying new capabilities that are driving those possible futures. Okay? So if you want to know what you should do now, is start the journey of that transformation and work out what's the business value, business goals that you could set yourself in the 1 year, 2 year, 3 year horizon that starts to both deliver value to your organization, but also you can use to build those new capabilities. And that's how we work. Set that vision, set that, what are we shooting for? What are the bets we want to make? And it's generally more than one, right? It's not like go after one possible future. It's like place a bet on a couple, right? And start moving in that direction, right? So set that kind of vision, then establish those foundational capabilities, that foundational platform, that spine, and then progressively over time, as you go through the journey of delivering that value, build strategic capabilities. The mistake we see a lot of organizations make is they do these transformations often sort of tangents or silos. So there'll be a group over there doing building a new platform to do lending, and another group over there building a new platform to do onboarding, another group another place building a new platform to do AI based customer insight, right? But actually the real trick is how you look at what it is as an executive is when you look at what it is you want to do with your business and where you want to go, and working out how do you start to build those strategic capabilities across those bets that you're making, not independent of each other. Because if there's one thing that having worse than having one legacy platform, it's having one legacy platform and 6 different new platforms. And so a big goal for us, and a big part actually we spent the last year working on with clients, is to the point I made before, not just the technology, but how do you plan that journey? How do you plan what the next 3 years are going to look like? And how do you govern that journey? How do you govern the delivery of all those things you want to do around modernizing the business, but building strategic capabilities as you do it and not repeating that? So that's a challenge. You need to accept it's an incremental journey, but that journey across all your different initiatives needs to line up, right? Not doing all those initiatives in different independent silos.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think if you then sort of wrap it up, right, if you then apply that back into Converge Prosperity, and without that ability to see into the future, what we sort of drive into our teams is that sort of relentless pursuit of an evolutionary architecture, right? So you've got the right encapsulation of the services that give you the ability to launch value early, so your alpha releases, but you don't have to solve all of your organization's technology and business challenges up front, right? But you need to but we can also bring that sort of path to get there that Mike's referenced so well.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris and Mike, for your time and a quick insight into Converge Prosperity. So the key takeaways from our discussion for me is that our clients embarking on this journey should start out by setting their vision and extending industry solutions such as Converge Prosperity to the overall transformation that they're embarking across their people and process alongside the technology. And using these common platforms to solve common problems and bringing in the wider ecosystem to enable the wider transformation, and taking an incremental approach to this journey. And that's how we're enabling our clients in driving greater business value and customer value. Thank you so much. How can our listeners connect with you two if they want to know more about industry solutions, Converge Prosperity, and Alpha as a platform?
Well, I mean, you can always find my LinkedIn profile online, Artie, Chris Madlin. If you want to send me a message directly, I'd be happy to keep the conversation going. But also, thank you for having us, Artie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, Artie. Thanks for having us. And similar, you can certainly find me and ping me on LinkedIn. If you want to know more about Alpha or soon to be Converge Prosperity, we are online, so you can go find out about us. If you just Google Deloitte Alpha platform, will come up. And in the next few months, we will be launching the Converge Prosperity brand and website as well. So it'll flip across to that.
Before we close out, we have our usual round of cloud updates. This week from Satish Natarajan, our AWS ambassador and lead solutions architect. Over to you, Satish.
Thank you, Aarti. It's a pleasure to be here, and hello to our listeners. This week, we bring you cloud updates from Amazon Web Services. As Aarti mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Converge Prosperity uses mainly cloud-native technologies to deliver next generation of banking, and I thought it would be best to bring you key updates from some of the core AWS services used to build such a solution. First, we have Amazon S3 event notifications with Amazon Event Bridge. You can now use S3 event notifications with Event Bridge to build, scale, and deploy event-driven applications based on changes to your data stored in S3. This makes it easier to act on new data in S3, build multiple applications that react to object changes simultaneously, and replay past events, all without creating additional copies of objects or developing new software. S3 event notifications with Event Bridge allow you to make use of advanced filtering and routing capabilities and send events to 18 targets, including AWS Lambda, Amazon Kinesis, AWS Step Functions, and Amazon SQS. This makes it possible for you to filter events by object size, time range, or other event metadata fields before invoking a target AWS Lambda function or other destinations. Next, we have Amazon API Gateway supporting mutual TLS with third-party certificate authorities. API Gateway enables customers to authenticate clients using certificate-based mutual TLS, where digital certificates are exchanged between the client and the API Gateway before a secure connection is established. Previously, only certificates issued by Amazon Certificate Manager, or ACM, could be used as the server certificate when configuring mutual TLS in API Gateway. Now, customers can use a server certificate issued by a third-party certificate authority or ACM private CA. This feature unblocks customers who want to use an existing server certificate that is not issued by ACM. These customers can now import an existing certificate into ACM and use it as the server certificate when configuring mutual TLS in API Gateway. Lastly, Amazon Athena adds console support for visualizing AWS Step Functions workflows. Amazon Athena is an interactive query service that enables you to analyze data in Amazon S3 using SQL. AWS Step Functions is a low-code visual workflow service used to orchestrate AWS services, automate business processes, and build serverless applications. You can now manage AWS Step Function workflows from the Amazon Athena console, making it easier to build scalable data processing pipelines, execute queries based on custom business logic, automate administrative and alerting tasks, and much more. You can use Athena and Step Functions to build distributed data processing pipelines, where Athena processes the data and Step Function orchestrates the workflow across multiple AWS services such as AWS Glue, Amazon S3, Amazon Kinesis Firehose, and AWS Lambda. And that's all the cloud updates for this episode. If you're interested in similar topics, why not read some of my blogs on LinkedIn? Follow me on LinkedIn at Satish Natarajan. Until next time, it's back to you, Aarti.
Thank you, Satish. That brings us to the end of another episode of Cloud Speed. We hope you enjoyed it, and if so, share it with your colleagues and friends on social media, and subscribe to be notified on new episodes. To find out more about Deloitte's cloud capabilities, do check us out at deloitte.co.uk/cloud. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Aarti Balakrishnan. And with that, this is Aarti signing off, and you've been listening to Cloud Speed by Deloitte.